Welcome to Learning MMA. We got the Fight Night Cannonier versus Imavov this Saturday in Louisville. Should be a good fight card. Without further ado, let's get right into it. First fight on the card, we got Dos Santos versus Tumar. Dos Santos, a lot of wins by submission, way more experienced compared to Tumar. UFC debut, a lot of losses by submission. Has already lost to a lot of high-level competitors and just not as well balanced as Dos Santos. Personally, I got Dos Santos winning by submission, ruining the UFC debut of Tumar. Next, we got Cody versus Taylor. Should be an interesting bout since both of these fighters are mainly counter strikers. Cody's a lot bouncier, while Taylor's a lot more right foot heavy. Cody's pretty good at wrestling. His boxing can be kind of tricky sometimes. He did miss weight last time at 135. I like Taylor's takedown defense, so I think he'll stuff him on that end. I think he's a lot more polished striking, too, compared to Cody's boxing. So I will take Taylor on this one via decision. I think it'll be an interesting fight, though, and definitely a slow starter. Next one, I think this should be pretty easy. We got Eduarda versus Denise. Eduarda's just really well balanced and amazing ground game, but Denise does have that right hand that could catch any time. But I think Eduarda should take this pretty handily. I think she's going for a statement. I think it should be a submission. But if it stays on the feet, Denise definitely could land a punch and it could be all over. But otherwise, sticking with Eduarda, I think she keeps that undefeated record. All right, next we got Castaneda versus Marcos. Once again, two counter strikers going at it, so probably going to be a slow starter again. But Marcos does have that power in comparison to Castaneda. The only reason Castaneda beat Kong the last fight was because of his wrestling. So if he uses that, I think he'll have a great chance to pull the fight together and win via that way. But if it does stay on the feet, I really do like Marcos here. I just feel like his counter striking is so much more powerful, so much more precise. So I'm going to go with him via decision. Next up, we got Brad Katona versus Jesse Butler. This is one of my controversial picks. I'm not a big Brad Katona fan. Watching him on The Ultimate Fighter, didn't look forward to a single one of his fights. I feel like he's mildly well balanced. I just don't think he has what it takes to finish a fight. I just think Jesse Butler will put out more. I think he'll push the pace and control the fight. And I think if it gets on the ground, it actually might be pretty interesting. But yeah, this is going to be one of my bigger underdog picks. I got Jesse Butler to beat Katona. I just don't think Katona has it in him. We got another fight here that I think will be pretty easy. We got Andrea Lee versus Montana De La Rosa. I got Montana on this one. Amazing ground game. I think if she gets the fight to the ground, it's pretty much over, and you can call it from there. Haven't seen anything great from Andrea Lee her last fight. I did see some promising from looks from Montana De La Rosa her last fight. Otherwise, I just really like her on the ground. I think she'll be able to hold it there and win over the judges. So I got Montana via decision on that one. Charles versus Carlos for our welterweight bout. It's always interesting to see what Charles has to say after his fights, but I haven't seen anything promising during his fights. Carlos has been looking really solid, really building the momentum there. Great knockout his last fight. Charles kind of caught a lucky punch his last fight. I just think Carlos has the power. He has the reach. He has the height. He has everything that it takes to beat Charles. Charles is really going to have to pull something out via the ground game is my best bet for him. Otherwise, I got Carlos via TKO KO. Next fight, we got Moses versus Klein. This one should be a really great one. I think this one easily could end up being fight of the night. Both these guys are finishers. I just feel like Klein's going to go for the finish. I feel like he's going to push the pace a lot more. I think Moses kind of struggles and hesitates with finding an opening, and I don't think Klein is scared of pushing and going for it. So I got him via finish. I think he can do on the feet. I think he can do it on the ground. I just really think he's going to take control of this fight early. Next fight, we got Miguel versus Punele. This should be a good one as well. Both fighters coming off a loss. Both similar in terms of reach and what they do as a fighter personally. I think this one will stay standing. I don't see it going to the ground. I really do think, though, Miguel has that power. And I think that's where he's going to kind of utilize it. I think his coaches are great. I think he had a great camp, and he seems really confident in his interviews. So I think he's going to take that one. Next, we got Julian versus Zachary. And let's be honest here, When you lose by TKO to Cody Brundage, not the greatest look for you. But overall, that's what Zachary's been kind of known for, is pushing the pace, going for those finishes. I just think Julian's going to be smarter in this scenario and know what to do and not going to panic. He's going to know that Zachary's going to push pretty hard and he's going to take it to the ground and get the win, either submission or decision. I just think Julian's got a lot more experience in knowing that Zachary's going to push the pace. I got Julian by decision. Next up, we got Bruno versus Dustin. Bruno with a great win against Phil Haas last time around, but then Dustin also getting his submission win. I do think this fight will stay standing. I do think that both these fighters will not want to take it to the ground, and I think that's what's going to be the difference here. I think Bruno has better striking, and I think he's way quicker in that aspect. But I'm going to go Bruno here via decision. Next up, one of the more anticipated fights, we got Raul Rosas Jr. versus Ricky. This fight was scheduled a while ago, did get canceled last second due to Raul getting sick. So, running it back, I think it's kind of interesting. Ricky was talking a lot of trash on Instagram, saying how he demanded more money because Raul pulled out last second. Personally, I think Ricky's scared of him. 19-year-old kid, got a lot of determination in him. So I think Ricky's pretty scared of that. Once again, I think the young gun just comes back, shows what he's made of. Great performance last time around. Even though he's young, he's got that desire and he's got that want. I think he takes it by submission. Another big underdog pick for me, Dominic Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby. This was an interesting fight. I'm kind of surprised they got put together. I do think Dominic takes him. I do think he still wants to be top of the division. But the problem is his chin. His chin hasn't looked the greatest. Got knocked out by Ryan Spann last time around. I think he's been out for about 2 years now, kind of getting recuperated. But I do think he comes back, and I do think he proves a point that he's still here in this light heavyweight division, and there was a reason why he was on top at one point. So I really do think he has it in him. I think he's going to be a lot more careful, and especially in his interviews, he seems like he really wants this. Overall, I just like him as the better striker as well. I got him via decision. In our main event, I got Cannonier over Imavov, another underdog pick. The reason why we're taking Cannonier, way more experience in the division, has fought all the top guys, looked amazing against Vettori, and Vettori's got that chin. He's got that amazing boxing, and Cannonier took the win. He has hit the age of 40, so I know that age differential doesn't look great. Also, why I'm taking Cannonier is Imavov hasn't looked special at all. I mean, he got a majority decision over Deladze, and Deladze looked like he was throwing his punches like they were made of glass. He was scared to throw a punch. He had no gas tank, and Imavov didn't even get the finish. I mean, if you watch that fight back, it's something incredible. Deladze looked like he did not want to be there. And then his last fight was a no contest, and the fight before that was a loss. I just don't think Imavov is as great as everyone's playing him off to be. And I just think Cannonier's got too much experience and too much power. I think Cannonier gets it done for the upset win.